I hate to sound like a record that is skipping, but Ole Miss has another big portal class.
Well, it's because they've got 55,000 players in it.
Like
You'll notice if you look at the top 15, there are only 2 programs in there that have more than 20 commits.
Right. I mean, but this is every year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is Ole Miss is out here with, 15, anywhere from like 15 to 25 portal additions pretty much every single offseason since we really started like tracking this and breaking it open. And they've delivered pretty consistent results. I mean, I guess like before we start diving into the nitty gritty of the class, is this sustainable? Has Lane Kiffin done it enough at a high enough level that we should assume that the Rebels are going to be able to just be a 20-player portal team every single season?
Wait, there's 2 different questions you asked there, but they're kind of blended into one. Should we assume they're going to continue to be a 20 kid portal team every year? I think until they show us otherwise, yes.
Right. But is it sustainable?
Is the winning on the field sustainable with this?
No.
Probably
not when you're ninth in the SEC in high school recruiting.
Not if the level of talent in the transfer portal continues to drop.
Mm-hmm.
Then no.
I think you go a little bit when you do it this much. I think there's a high boom or bust rate.
It's very volatile.
And he's been pretty boom. I mean, we saw that at Florida State. Like they were going kind of this route, heavy in the portal, bringing in key players. And when it starts falling apart, there's not a lot of depth to those relationships and the commitment, and you see guys throwing the towel. So I think that's always a risk when you have so much turnover in the portal and you kind of build your foundation through that.
Yeah, I think if you're a fan and like you don't follow super closely, but you do follow recruiting kind of tangentially, like being ranked at the top of the transfer classes is great, but it doesn't mean the same thing as being ranked at the top of the high school recruiting.
Right.
Like it is much more volatile. And if you go back and you look at last year's top recruiting classes, the teams that did good, that were ranked in the top 10 or 15 were typically already good. You'll see other programs that were kind of mediocre who had huge classes that were rated highly, and they were still mediocre because it really still comes down to what your high school class is. And we have seen examples of programs who've relied heavily on the portal. You have up and down years. It's much more volatile. Florida State had a great season 2 years ago with a large portal class. Last year's portal class did not hit the same, and they had a terrible season. So that could be something we see at Ole Miss because you look at who they're replacing. Like that's a lot of talent that they had on that team, that some of which they got in the portal, some of which they developed, but it's gone. So now you're relying on a whole lot of new players in there. So when I look at these classes overall, how they're ranked, and like I look at Oregon being 4th with 9 commits, that stands out to me because that's a team that's awesome recruiting high school. That's really always at the top of the rankings there. And they are supplementing what is already an awesome roster with great transfers as well. So those are the things that stand out to me when I look at these rankings.
Wasn't that Ohio State last year too?
Correct.
I think they had 7 or 8, maybe 9, but they were incredible players.
Austin in the chat, Austin Gray says, why are we acting like Ole Miss hasn't done this for like 4 years? I think there are 2 things here. They have done it for 4 years. The thing is, now that like they had first mover advantage, them, FSU, Tennessee, a few other schools who went out and spent super early, like basically ask forgiveness later type response. Now everybody has money. So Ole Miss's money advantage is gone relative to what it was 3-4 years ago. And in addition to like the competition for the players being way up because everybody has money, I think the level of talent in the portal is down. So you're paying a lot more now and you're not able to scoop everybody, and the available talent is down. So Austin, that's why we think maybe that is not as sustainable for Ole Miss. And ultimately, he says 3rd most successful program in the SEC over that period. Yes, like that's why Chip asked if it's sustainable now, because the factors around the portal have changed.
Right. That is the conversation around Ole Miss, is how much longer can you do this? Because to do
nobody
it,
flipping houses with 7% interest rates, right?
Like hell yeah, bud. Let's go.
Situation changed, man.
That is the thing that is truly interesting to me, because if he does, he is the portal king. Like then you really are. If you continue to operate at this level from a roster building standpoint, and I will give Lane Kiffin and his staff this, they do a pretty good job of making sure that not every portal edition is a rental, that some of these guys are transferring in with multiple years of eligibility so that you do get a little bit of continuity. And maybe maybe when you're thinking about being Ole Miss, you're like, you know what? If this gets us 9 wins consistently year over year over year means I'm the most successful coach in Ole Miss history. This is a program that has never played for the SEC championship. This is a program whose long history of football includes some years of 4 wins, 3 wins, 5 wins. And so maybe you commit to being a total portal team, and you do lower that tippy top ceiling versus what you could do building it up year over year with high school recruiting, but you do at least have a pretty high floor. I think that would be my best read of it.
Who's the Ole Miss AD?
Right now?
Yeah.
I don't know who it is since Ross left.
Shoot. It's not Keith, is it?
Are you wondering about how long the administration would be down with consistent?
Keith Carter.
Keith Carter would be happy if Ole Miss went 9-3 for the rest of time, right? because that keeps you in a job. You can raise your family in one place. You're probably going to get raises. The thing is, the people you have to pitch.
Lose your basketball coach though.
Yeah.
The people you have to pitch, they don't want to invest in that because college ball is a business for the school, but for the boosters who fund it, it's not, right? They're doing it like they're little owners of very small NFL type teams. They want to see the peaks and valleys. They don't want 9-3 every year if it means you never win a title. They would like to see one. So it's a tricky thing because you're thrilled with it as an administration, but you can't act too happy about it when you go to your boosters to sell because you got to pitch that more is possible.
Yep.